Happy Terminal Tuesday, everyone. Welcome back to another session where we explore what's possible in the terminal and just take a look at people's terminal setups. My name is Orhun. I work on a TUI. I am joined by my co-host Coco. How's it going, man?
Great.
So today we are stepping into the world of audio and music production, but entirely in the terminal. And we have a very special guest, Christian Grothe. He's been building some really interesting tools in this music plus terminal space. I've seen his work. He's just doing really cool visuals, demos, and I think he's making an album. But he will probably tell us more about this in this session. So welcome, Christian. How's it going?
Hey, yeah, good to be here. Thanks.
So tell us about how you got into all of this stuff that you're doing and what exactly are you doing?
Yeah. So I took this Terminal Tuesday. I had the idea to present my current setup because it kind of pushed me to make things fun, basically. Because I currently kind of built a new setup that I want to make music. So in the past, every time I made a new project, new recording or new setup, I'm kind of always looking for new ways how I can make what I want to do. And since now I'm pretty much into programming more and more, and I started to make my own like audio software that is also running in the terminal. I was thinking of like how far can I push it, basically, and so yeah, I kind of started to bring all of this together. So what I'm building, and trying to find a way how all of that can, feel like one instrument, basically. And yeah, so maybe I can already show how that looks. So the setup that I'm using at the moment looks like this, which is basically a tmux window with some panes. And so here on the left, top left, what you see is just NeoVim, actually. And here I'm doing stuff with SuperCollider. I don't know if everyone knows what SuperCollider is. I can also give a little example of what that is and how that works. But like basically all of the setup is kind of based around SuperCollider. And then I have here on the left, I have two of my sampler instruments that are also running like as a terminal user interface. And then here on the bottom left it's like just an audio effect, like a delay effect that I made. And I needed to squeeze it in somewhere, so there's not so much fancy animations and stuff. I just wanted to have it there. Yeah. So, and like maybe we take a step back and like to see how I get here. So basically I will start again. Okay, so I have here in this folder, I have some things, some SuperCollider patches. I will show you how that works with SuperCollider. And then I have some scripts. Example, I have one script which is the start script, which basically creates this tmux session that you just saw. So I don't have to do that manually all the time. I just do start and it creates it for me. And it's a tmux session without the top menu because I don't really need it here. And it saves me some space. So the start script basically, just sends some tmux commands, opens my instruments and stuff, and then it applies this kind of layout, right? Yeah. So and then how I bring everything together. So maybe now is a good point to show you what SuperCollider is. So SuperCollider is an environment for making everything audio related, like music and like noise, all kinds of stuff you can do with SuperCollider, and you can program it. So you can write code and you will hear something, and you can change the code and you can hear immediately change in the audio. And that works in SuperCollider. There's like three parts to it. So one part is the SuperCollider, the server that you start. So it's a sound server that is responsible for generating audio, basically. Then you have a client that can send messages to that server in order to make the sound change. And you send these messages from the client by using the SuperCollider language. Okay, so these are the three parts. And if you would start out, or traditionally, I can show you that, you would use the SuperCollider IDE for that, which is just a GUI. Sorry for that, but it's yeah. So and then when you open this IDE, SuperCollider IDE, it will start this client, and then you can basically interact with this with the server. You can boot the server and stuff. But luckily, there is a NeoVim plugin for SuperCollider that lets you do all of that, or not everything, but most of this also in NeoVim. So now this is just a NeoVim window. Nothing SuperCollider had started yet. So, and because of this plugin, I can do SuperCollider NVim start, which would start a SuperCollider client. And then I can use NeoVim to interact with the server, in example. So I can boot the server after all. So I can do server, it's the s.boot. And how SuperCollider works is that you execute code. So I will execute this line with the hotkey, and then you will see in this post window that it will start a server, right? And then I can do things that you can do in any programming language, like doing 5 plus 5. And I can execute this block, and it will give me 10, right? So you can like define a block of code, and then you can stuff here, and then you can execute the whole block. You can also do like rand. There are functions like rand where you can generate a random number. Then you see on the right, it generates a random number every time I execute this code block. And then if you want to make sound, so you would define a synth, give it a name and a function. This function, you can pass arguments like the frequency. So this is very SuperCollider in a nutshell. I don't want to give it, like, it should not be an introduction to SuperCollider, but I want to show it a little bit so that you know what's happening. Then you can create a variable called signal, and the signal is a triangle waveform, right? It runs on the audio rate, and the frequency is what we pass as an argument. And then I will apply an envelope so that the sound gets quieter over time. And there are multiple ways of doing this. So I use this envelope. It's a percussive envelope, and the attack time, it's also put here attack. And this is in seconds. And release, attack, release, right? And then I do this. And then I just do, okay, I multiply, the signal is the signal multiplied by the envelope. Then in order to hear it, I need to send it out. So I do out.audio rate, and then the channel where it should go out, and yeah, what should go out. And then I add it to the server. So when I execute now this block of code, it will generate this blueprint of my synthesizer on the server. Boom. And I can then hopefully, oh, there's one thing I need to do, otherwise it will become very loud. Let's multiply this by a very short number. Okay, so let's try to hear how this synthesizer sounds. So I will store this synthesizer in a variable called x, and then I will call synth, and I will start a synthesizer, so I will pass it the name that I gave myself. So you can basically declare multiple synths with a synth def, and then when you play them, you do synth, and then you reference them by this name that you gave it. And let's see, I don't know if you will hear it because I haven't Did you hear that? Probably not, right?
No.
No. So I need to, yeah. So here you see this is the SuperCollider. So I'm using on Linux. I'm using kind of Pipewire or Jack. So SuperCollider can run as a Jack client, and that makes it super easy to route audio. So what I need to do now is to route the output of SuperCollider to Chromium. Now maybe it's even too loud for you. I want to be careful. So now you should hear something.
Yep.
Do you hear them? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. So I can now execute this multiple times, and then I can also say I want to change the like frequency that I have as an argument, and it should be like 500. And now it's higher, right? Or I can say release is 1 second, and it's a bit longer. Okay, so this is very like pretty much the most basic thing you can do. Like one more thing I want to show you, because you don't really want to manually execute this. So you can also create something like, which is called like a pattern. So do you find a pattern? It's called my pattern. And then you can give it some parameters, like the instrument that this pattern should play. And this is my synth. And it has a duration. So this is kind of a sequence. And the duration, let's start with 1. And then I can change magically the pitch of the synthesizer by calling degree. And then instead of writing like frequencies like 440, I can like, let's do 5. And we see what that sounds like. And then I can also change the attack and the release. So, and I need to put this into this because it's a code block. Oh, it didn't work. So, and I want to execute multiple lines basically, so I need to wrap it. And then what I need to do is I need to play this pattern. And now you hear that it's playing repeatedly. I can make the duration maybe faster. And then I can have here a sequence of some notes, play it infinitely. Okay, so, and you hear I can change the code and immediately hear the result, right? Even though it's still very basic. And then I can bind def my pattern stop. Oh, what is here? Maybe I misspelled it. Yeah, and then it stops. Cool. So this is the very basic idea with SuperCollider. Obviously, you can do much more. Just to get an understanding of like what I show you next. So let's go back to this project here. Okay, so I mentioned I have this start script, which starts my session. And then I can start the client. And then I have some like setup code that I execute. So it doesn't do anything, it just creates some functions. And we can look at it. So it's basically the core of it is this start all function, which basically boots the server, as you can see here. But it does also some other setup code. It basically creates some, here I have this synth dev. So it's the same synth dev that I used as in this little demo. But this synth dev is for, so I can integrate my instruments here on the right. I will route them into SuperCollider so I can, control the volume of it and stuff like that. So I create multiple channel strips, and then I have this MIDI controller in front of me so that I can not just control everything with code, because sometimes it's nice to also just have a fader or a knob to turn. And so I'm setting up multiple things basically, and then I call the start all function. And what the start all function will also execute is another script, which is a connect script, and I will show you what this is doing at the moment in a moment. So let's start all. Then I can show you in this graph how that looks. So now here I have also a SuperCollider client, but it has much more inputs and it has much more outputs, and everything is already connected. Actually, I need to do still some manually step, because this is pretty much a work in progress, and there are some things that shouldn't be there, like this. Okay. So now what you see, I have here also this the software synth that I have here, and this delay effect runs as Jack clients, and then I connect them to SuperCollider. And in order for you to hear, I will also connect the output of SuperCollider now to Chromium. Cool. And so so that it's possible that everything gets auto-connected, because I don't want to open it and connect this manual with this software here, because my idea was to have something that I just open and it should work, right? And I want to do as little manual steps as possible. We can also look at this. Was it the connect script? Yes. And basically what this is doing, it's using the pipewire CLI, or the pipewire link CLI, to basically connect everything. Like I can say connect grainiac is an example, is for example the one software sampler that you see here on the top right. And I say, okay, connect the output of grainiac to SuperCollider input 5. And so with that, I can just set it up once. Then I can execute the script in SuperCollider with the setup code. Then we'll see this as a result. So everything gets auto-connected, and everything just should work. And now, as you can see on the top right, I can, with my MIDI controller in front of me, I should be able to change my synth here. So I can, so now at the moment, I'm turning some knobs on my MIDI controller. You can see it does something, right? Which is pretty cool. And so maybe I show you what those things are about. So another thing I have is a synthesizer, which is an analog synthesizer that I will now use in order to sample something. So the synthesizer itself sounds like this, right?
Yeah.
Is the volume good enough?
Good enough.
It's good, yeah.
Okay, so now I can send the signal of my synthesizer, because everything is routed into SuperCollider. I can now say, okay, route the synthesizer from SuperCollider to this grainiac sampler. And you see, I have to make it very quiet, because otherwise you will hear too loud. But you see the input now gets a signal when I play my synth. And then and we probably won't see a lot of the waveform, because also it has to be a bit quiet, but I can press record. Or maybe what we do is I make it louder. Then you can, without hearing, and then you can see the waveform I'm recording, right? So maybe let's do it again. So I can play something, and then now this will be sampled. And I can also record on the second track. And okay, so now I sampled some audio, but how can we hear it? So maybe I make this quiet to be safe. And so this I can also do with SuperCollider. So SuperCollider, as you have seen mostly now, I used it to generate audio or to do something with audio, but it can also do MIDI. So I have this little SuperCollider patch, which is basically a MIDI sequencer. And then And here it's also like I'm using a pattern, but in order the pattern is not generating audio itself, but it just sends out MIDI. So I can then start this, and you will see. Okay, the synthesizer on the top right is already playing, but there is nothing recorded into it. But if I now bring up the sound here, and let me quickly do something, and then I will make it louder. Then you should hear it. Hear it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Then I can
Make it a bit more louder if you want.
And this is, now playing what I just sampled from my synthesizer. And the notes, like the different pitches, are coming from this pattern. So I can also change the sequence. Say I want this sequence, and then I need to restart it, and now it will have a different. And then I can also like show you what the thing on the bottom left is. So this is like a granular delay. And then I can also use my MIDI controller and control and say, okay, I want to send now this signal from this sampler into the granular delay, which is also being routed by SuperCollider. So SuperCollider is kind of the heart of everything. And then I can turn a button, and then you will hear. Hopefully. That was the wrong button. Now this other layer that appears is now, and it doesn't have any visual feedback yet, but I can also mute the sampler and you just hear the effect. Right? And the cool thing now is, let's make this effect a little quieter, and I will change something of the pattern, make it a bit faster. And then I can show you another thing. And then let's make okay, so maybe a bit faster and less sustain. Okay, something like this. And now the cool thing is, because this melody is being generated by SuperCollider, and it's all synced, like everything that I do with this pattern can be synced to the same clock. So now I can have I have an example, this patch, which is a bass drum, or kind of a percussion thing. So I need to add it to the server, and then I have this pattern, and kind of like a utility function, which basically plays the pattern, and you won't hear it yet, but I can bring it up a bit, and then you will hear that it's like the timing is synchronized with my sampler. And then I can maybe make this a bit faster.
That's already a vibe. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Thanks. So, and then I can bring back this effect. And I can also add some reverb. And the reverb is also something that I use from SuperCollider. And then I can mess around, an example, with SuperCollider, maybe change something, make this pattern a bit more interesting. Okay. Yes, and then I can start to improvise basically and build up and bring in other sounds, mix stuff from SuperCollider or doing something like it's very, let's make it, so it's super flexible. On one hand, it's both. It's on the one hand, it's very limiting because I can just do what I've set it up, but what I can set up with the setup is basically infinite. So there's, I would argue, there's not an idea I could have that could not be realized with this setup. And this is kind of cool. Yeah, and for me, I really like it more than using like a regular digital audio workstation, where I feel always overwhelmed because you can do everything at once. And here I like when I want a feature, when I do something, I need to implement it myself, basically. I can constantly change my setup and make it better. And yeah, and super fun, at least for me. And then let's stop this secret for a moment. What else can I show you? Maybe you can also have a look at this other sampler here on the bottom right, which I called the Matrix sampler. Maybe I can give you a little demo of that. So I will again use my synthesizer here as a sound source. And then, so now the input is just, you see it on here, but I route it, at the same time I also route it into this guy here. So, and on my MIDI controller, I can now also record. Maybe I will again make the synths silent so that we can see more. And then for now, I will just play a single note, just the middle C. So let's see how it sounds just like this. I will bring it up. So you see, I recorded some seconds of audio, and it will like it recorded in like 8 chunks, right? And then can also change the range or the length of this loop for every cell. And so the way this works with the sequencing is with this matrix here on the top right. So I can, So I have basically I have 2 sequences, and every sequence can have another tempo. So I can change it. Here now it's playing like quarter notes on 100 BPMs. I can make it also 8 notes, right? And then I can, so what you see here, the blinking dots, like on the top, are basically just the raw count of the steps in binary. And the dots on the left are actually the step that should be played. So I hope this will make sense. So now, since the way I connected the input with the output is that the result is everything will be played in a sequence from like starting from step 1 and counting to step 8. And now I can, an example, I can remove this bit here and it will count differently. Oh, sorry, I need to do it here. Right, so now it does not count just to 8 anymore because I removed this bit. But I can replace this bit with the other sequence. And then I can make and then I can also change the pitch of every cell, but I can also change, like select a cell and change just the pitch of one cell. And then I can also record something on this, on the other sequence. And you see, because this is like this, it will just still count from 1 to 8. I can also make this more interesting and maybe removing this guy here. Okay, so and then another thing you can do, so I'm changing like this first preset. Then I have, like of this matrix, I have many presets. So now at the moment I'm in preset 1, but I can also go to preset 2, 3. I can immediately change this configuration of the matrix. And I can also have like this preset sequencer down here, which I can say like programmatically change these matrix setups, presets. Then you have even more variety. So this sounds now like this. And now because you know, you see this presets are changing because the preset sequencer is changing them. I had actually forgot I have is it M? Ah yeah, M. Okay, so now I'm in edit mode, which means I don't see the preset that is being applied, but I can just, you know, look at the preset and change them, because otherwise, you know, they would like change all the time. And then I can go to edit mode and I can say, okay, I want to edit actually preset 2, and this should be away, and because I want to do this, right? And then I can go back into live mode and I'm seeing everything changing. And then it sounds like this. And then I can also see like the grainiac at the top is still playing, so I can also mix those two. So this is grainiac. Oh, it's just one note actually. It's maybe not so interesting. Let's do a note off and that play a sequence again. Maybe just 2 notes. Now I also want to give this a little bit of attack and release. And this is super fast. Let's do this. Like this. And then I think my bass drum is still playing. I'm not sure this is actually in sync, because let's stop this. Let's set the tempo to 100. And now this is and so you see I set the global tempo in SuperCollider to 100 beats per minute. Also the sequencer sampler here is set to 100 beats per minute, so then it's synced. It doesn't take the clock automatically from SuperCollider, so I can also change this clock and have it in another tempo, but it makes sense to like have those things and the same beats per minute. And then I can maybe use my effect. Yes, so I think that's mostly it. So this is, I mean, and as you see, it's still work in progress. So there are things that I still want to try, even though I'm still already using it. I started to record with it, and maybe this is the last thing I can show you. This is why I have all of these outputs here. I'm using these kind of direct outs of every channel that I use. Then I use actually not a TUI, but just a DAW to record every channel separately. So for this I'm using Ardour, and then maybe will do this automatically. So I open Ardour. No, so I would now need to connect every channel from SuperCollider manually with the Ardour inputs. I mean, this is something I would definitely also want to have automatically, so that I just open it, everything is connected, I press record, and then it will, and then you can see here I recorded, in the past days I did some recordings, so I can record every element of my performance on a separate track. And this just runs in another window. I don't need to care about it. And then I can just, the music happens here.
Just so impressive. Normally we ask questions and just read the chat, but I was so locked in. I was just super interested that I just lost myself at some point, but so impressive, man. When should we expect the album?
I don't know. Maybe it takes some time still. Maybe sometimes this year and the end of the year. I don't know, a few months. I don't know, nothing planned.
So good. I mean, sounds so cool.
Yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice. And same as Orun, I was just locked in to this one. Actually, one question from me. It's two TUIs on the right?
Yeah, so basically three. So this on the top, on the bottom left, it's just, it's not so fancy. There's just, I'm showing some parameters.
Okay.
And then here it's, then it's two TUIs basically.
And they both get the output from SuperCollider, is that it? Or
yes, yeah. So I have here in SuperCollider I have a channel. It's channel 3 and 4, and you see this chord goes into Almighty Grain. No, oh, sorry, is this the correct one? Oh no, so it's channel 7 and 8 actually. So you see here I have this channel, and then I route the signal from here to the inputs of those two things.
Okay.
And then I have a knob. When I turn it, I can send any signal to these outputs, and then they will be sent to my software samplers. And yeah, so I can send basically everything to them. Not just my synthesizer, but I could also send sounds from a SuperCollider patch and resample it basically, or stuff like that.
We have actually, I saw some people in the chat mention Strudel. I don't know if you've heard about Strudel. Strudel.cc.
I've heard about it, yes.
How would you compare those two, Strudel and SuperCollider?
I mean, I haven't tried it, but I think, so my impression is that so SuperCollider is a bit more diverse in what you can do. At the same time, it also gives you not so much like security. Like if you fuck something up, it becomes very loud, you know,
I see. Yeah.
and stuff like this. But on the other side, it gives you a lot of freedom, and I think you can basically, and do a bit more things with SuperCollider. I haven't tried Strudel, but another thing maybe that it also would compare to is Sonic Pi. I don't know if anyone knows this. It's basically also the same concept, but it's a bit more easier to use. So you have more things set it up for you that you don't need to do manually. But then it's also a bit more reduced in what you can do with it, basically. So SuperCollider gives you, I would say, a bit more freedom on some things.
Any other questions from the chat?
I think the chat is just vibes. There's not so many questions in there. Trying to look for some, but
I have one question. So let's say let's say I want to try out your setup. What do I need to do? Is it like right now streamlined for this? Like, can I get a MIDI keyboard, install all the tools, and just give it a try?
Technically, yes. So this, like my setup scripts and stuff, it's not anywhere online, but generally, so the first thing you would need to have is SuperCollider. And this would, if you, and this is kind of also at the moment, it's kind of tailored to Linux systems, basically, because everything I'm using Jack mostly. But other than that, you can, wouldn't be nothing that could hold you back from doing the same thing, basically.
So you have Grainiac, and the other one is the Matrix sampler, you said?
Matrix, yeah.
So those are like separate projects, or like in the same repo, or how should we access them?
No, those are separate repos. So I have like a repo for Grainiac, I have a repo for Matrix sampler. And also and also for this is called Almighty Grain, which I also actually have as a VST plugin. But here I'm using my TUI versions of it, and actually also of Grainiac I have a GUI version. But I enjoy to make everything I do. I try to make a TUI as well.
Actually, where can people follow you? You have a GitHub, I assume.
I have GitHub, so you can, if you want to listen to some of my music, you can go to my Bandcamp. It's crichet.bandcamp.com.
Yeah, we'll put that in the description, basically.
And then I mean here it's probably a good start point. So there's a lot of my music.
Thanks for just giving us a really, really great intro to SuperCollider. I have heard that multiple times, but I didn't know what it was doing. So it was super insightful. Love it.
Yeah, it was really nice.
Can we get like a performance as an outro to this session, Christian?
That would be awesome. On to the vibes, I guess.
Okay, let's go.